Chief, I'm sure you're well aware that Slocum has had a problem. I think 2 instances of a person driving what looks like an unmarked police car trying to stop people. I understand the Dothan PD is also looking for this suspect. If a person's driving down the street and they see blue lights behind them and you know it, you can see that it is a marked police car, be it the sheriff's department or the police department, what should they do at that point?
Okay, if you can tell that it is a marked vehicle, just come pull over to the next place where there is a break in traffic, where you can pull over to the side of the road without being in traffic, and pull over to the blue lights.
Okay, so I was able to find 2 close cases that address the question of when you actually have to pull over. First one is State v. Boyle. This one is kind of a stupid case, but anyways. It's a guy that drove 500 feet to his house instead of pulling over immediately, well not immediately, at a safe place. And he was convicted of which was it? Failure to comply with lawful order to pull over. The other one is State v. Paulson, which is where, which was it? The guy was driving aggressively. The cop tries to pull him over. Paulson drives for 1.7 miles. The cop stops chasing him. Then later, they run the license plate and identify the driver, and they convict him. They find him guilty of, unlawful flight from law enforcement. And the actual sentence was 10-day jail and 3 years probation. So very, very, very little penalty, very small penalty. But based on what I can see, essentially it depends. You need to pull over when you find a safe space to pull over. And that is not defined, so it's very subjective from what I can see.
What about, in some instances, a unmarked car stops you?
Really, depending on what time of day it is, the best bet is to go to a well-lit, populated area at night. And if it's during the daytime, just go to a populated area. But if you're in a rural area, what I would suggest is at least get to someone's house where you can pull over in their driveway.
Okay, now this one is where it gets interesting. The case that I was able to find that discusses it is Williams v. State. And where was it? Now the interesting thing about this one is that, give me a second. Okay, the statute that makes it a crime to drive away from the police only applies if you're being pulled over by a cop in a marked police vehicle. That would be, the whole black and white car, with the, you know what a police car looks like, anyways. And what's interesting, the other thing is, it also applies if the cop is in uniform. So in theory, yeah, you can keep on driving until you get to a safe place in situations where it's not a guy in a marked police vehicle.
Should you proceed quickly, slowly?
No, I would not. Just at the speed limit, correct. You don't need to speed. That would indicate if it is a police officer that you're trying to run from them. So just go at the designated speed until you can determine where a safe place is to pull over.
Are officers aware that these situations might occur?
Yes, they are. Actually, they are written into our procedural orders that this could occur, and that we should be wary of those type instances.
So if it's out late at night and you see a blue light in your rear view mirror and you think it may or may not be a police car, then your advice is to proceed at a safe speed, posted speed limit, or maybe even a little slower, to a well-lit public area before you stop.
Correct.